Hello, Treviglas. It's Janine again from the Education Business Partnership. I hope you've had a good 2 weeks taking part in the Passport to Work experience. Our aims were for you to meet a range of different employers, to find out about different careers and jobs across Cornwall and take part in an industry-related project. You're going to hear from 3 of the employers that set the enterprise tasks. They're going to tell you about some of the skills that they've seen that you've used, a little bit of feedback on things to improve, and also highlight some of the tasks that you sent in that they really enjoyed. Before we do that, I just want to announce the winners of our prize draw for submitting your evaluations. So I'm using a random name generator in order to generate Well done, Evie and Kai. We'll be sending your prize to Mr. Wilson to give to you at school. And now over to the 3 employers, who are Zoe from the Minack Theatre, Fallon from Kier Construction, and James from the Cornwall Marine Network. Thank you very much. Bye.
Hi, Nikki Treviglas. Thank you for your time on this enterprise task. It's been really interesting to see what you've written. I don't know whether you know, but you're the first group to have done this task, and it's been absolutely fascinating for me and my team at the theatre to read what you've done. So I did share this with other members of my team, partly actually because I thought the overall responses were so great, and there are some nuggets in there that we will potentially be looking at using going forward. So thank you for your time helping us with our business planning going forward. Now, I've got a few notes on each of the 4 tasks that I received back. So the first one, Maisie, Sophia and Madison, it was a really interesting and well thought out programme. You had really realistic ticket prices, which was great, and some really interesting merchandise for each show that you talked about. We loved your idea about getting social media users active and incentivising people to actually promote us on social media. I had to that's something we've not been particularly good at, and that's a really great idea for us that we'll take forward. Just one other point really, it was a brilliant programme. I think you would just, if I was going to employ you as my programmers, you just need to have a think about how much time it takes to turn one show into another show. There's an awful lot of steps, and sort of resetting stage and things takes a bit more time than you could be allowed for in that programme, but it was a fantastic programme, so thank you so much. The second example, Amy, Luke and Kian, again, really good examples of shows. We loved the idea of busking. We've not allowed busking. We've sort of tried to encourage it in our own way, where we have these things called pop-up performances where people, but they'll always book in advance and tell us they're going to do it. And I just kind of love the idea of something happening a bit more spontaneously and giving that opportunity to people. So that was a great one. Your food and drink was really well thought out, and your merchandise designs were lovely to see as well. Your pricing was a little bit low. It was great to be low, to offer low prices, but actually in terms of making things, covering the costs of bringing things in, your pricing was probably a little bit low for that. And also, and you wouldn't know this, but actually radio advertising is really expensive. We don't tend to do any of it. We've done little bits in the past. It's a really expensive way of advertising, but I wouldn't have expected you to have known that. So it's great to think actually that people of your age would think about us using the radio, because we do tend to discount it actually. So that's a really nice one that we will actually maybe think about for the future. Taylor, Kai, Robert and Eden, a really well researched programme. We could see you'd had a good look at what we've had on before, which was great. We loved your formula for pricing. Pricing is really difficult actually, and I was thinking about it and thinking actually I do sometimes just tend to kind of take a price out the air and go, oh yeah, that'd be right, we'll charge that. So the fact you really thought about that and you thought about how that could be presented as a formula was brilliant, especially with the uplift then for how famous they were. I thought that was brilliant. I'd love to be telling people, no, you're not famous enough, you're not going to get that level of uplift. I thought your show timings were interesting. I wasn't quite sure why you went so early in the day for shows, and whether you were thinking about people having to travel home afterwards, and that's why you didn't put things so much in the evening. A note from my visitor experience manager, who actually is in charge of all of our merchandising, was really thinking about value for money and brand quality on your merchandising things that you were talking about. They were really, really great ideas that you had in there. I actually made a note on you to say I thought you were going to go far in business between you. You had a really great, strong business approach to the whole project. So thank you. And the fourth group, Millie, Noah, Koji, Sunny and Hamish. Again, some really nice program ideas and some good pricing suggestions as well. Really liked your VIP benefits and the idea of you were thinking, well, if we're going to charge more for certain tickets, what else would we give to go with that? That was a really lovely way of thinking. And my education officer had a look at yours actually, and she loved your interactive idea. The fact you'd thought about if we have families in watching a show, how much the children would love to be involved in the show, shouting out or getting up and getting involved. That was really great. We had a little chuckle to ourselves that you thought that only old people would like Shakespeare. That's absolutely brilliant. I love the fact you'd thought about older people and what they might and might not like. We would argue back that everybody should love Shakespeare, but that's all about the kind of way you've had Shakespeare presented to you in the past. So thank you, all of you. It's been really, really interesting and great to read your thoughts, and hopefully you'll all get to come to the Minac and actually watch something soon going forwards. Thank you.
Hi there, you might recognise me from last week. So my name's Fallon and I work for Kia Construction. So thank you so much for producing and sending me over your work you've done for Building of the Future. They were excellent to see your ideas and things you have come up with and thought about. So before I kind of go into that in a bit more detail, I just wanted to reflect on some of the skills that you may have used to complete this task. So to design something like that, one, you need to use your own initiative. So the ideas that came through, none of them were the same. They were all absolutely different, which is fantastic. So I can see you've all really gone and thought about this and thought, what will make a good building in 100 years' time? So a lot of them were very much environmental focus. So you've thought, where will we be for renewable energy? What will our world look like in 100 years' time? I see someone mentioned coronavirus will be gone. Well, that would be nice, wouldn't it? Hopefully in 100 years you would like to think so. So not only all of those skills, problem solving. So I see some of you may have mentioned things that might be a little bit tricky to get and not sure how you will get there. But that is something that, let's say an architect or something like that, for example, would kind of put the idea forward, and then you would work as a team, which is what you've done already. So you would work as a team to then problem solve. So how would you overcome this? This is a brilliant design. Now, how do we put this into practical senses? So that's a really, really good skill to have within construction, especially. And then experience and technology. So something like this, like I said, could just be a thought or initiative that you think you might want to explore. Then you might need to talk to someone else with some experience and who has experience maybe within trade, within industry, within that technology that you want to use with certain solar panels and things like that. Some of you have mentioned. Communication was key in this project. So you didn't work alone. I can see you all worked in groups, which is fantastic because there's so many ideas. So you all would have had to communicate to get your finished final product, which is absolutely fantastic. Literature, you need obviously your literature skills because you've all jotted down kind of what your building was and where you would see it in the future. And then finally, I would just say communication. It is key within construction, anything. It's really, really good to see that you've started that. The problem solving, the communication, the attention to detail was brilliant. Your design, thinking outside of the box was great. So thank you so much for this. And there's definitely a concept need within construction, right from the pre-contract tender stage, right up until you're on site and then you complete it on site. These are needed in your everyday life. So well done. So before I finish, I just wanted to point out my favourite. So I'm just going to share my screen now so you can see. So my favourite was, and apologies if I'm saying this wrong, I think it says Eva or Ivor in the top. Sorry, I'm not sure. I can't quite see the writing. Gabriella and Alexis, your triangle design was fantastic. You really thought outside the box. You thought about renewable energy. You thought about things with climate change, in terms of flooding. You thought about extendable and retractable roofing and ladders for maybe different abilities, shall we say, things like that as well, which you may not have necessarily noted down, but if you go back and think about what you've done, you actually have put that into place. And I really, really liked your design, so well done. You were the favourite. Thank you so much, and brilliant. I hope to do more projects like this with you in the future. It was fantastic. Thank you so much.
Hi everyone, it's James from Cornwall Marine Network here. I hope you're all well. A couple of weeks ago, I delivered a session around issues involving single-use plastics in the marine sector. I gave you a few examples of a few businesses that are leading the way in the Southwest, with some around the world to encourage change and sustainability. Afterwards, I set you the task of researching further into this subject and coming up with an innovative idea or other ways we can become more sustainable. I've checked your work and you've done just that. Overall, there were some brilliant ideas that have been presented to me. My two favourites was the plastic trawler and the Recycle for Money scheme. It was a good idea to use a fishing trawler with a specifically adapted net to collect plastic from the ocean surface. The breakdown of how, what and why made it very clear for me to understand. One thing to consider, however, is actually how much is your idea going to support the current issue. New research suggests that plastic on the seafloor is far greater than plastic we see floating on our oceans. It will make a big difference, however, but what else can be done to clear our seabeds? Just a bit of food for thought there. Another great idea was the Recycle for Money initiative that motivates more people to recycle by earning money for their vital contribution. I liked it as it accepted cards rather than issued physical cash, as it prevents the risk of your machine getting damaged and money being stolen. But also it's much more hygienic given the current pandemic we're facing. I would consider using another planning method such as SWOT. That stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities and threats. Give this method a Google to help you understand what it is. This will support you in understanding the pros and cons of your idea and identify how it is better than any other product on the market. Also, next time it may help you carefully consider the use of colours on your poster to make sure it is user-friendly and legible. I just found it a tiny bit difficult to read what you wrote. I really had to focus on the colours just to read it, but that's just me. I want to thank you all for your participation and I hope you enjoyed the task. Please give the Cornwall Marine Academy a follow on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and YouTube. Once you've finished your time at school, and if you find yourself intrigued about what the marine sector has to offer you, please feel free to get in touch with us. Okay, you can see all our details online, so give us a Google, check out our social media, feel free to get in touch. All the best and stay safe.